Hey, what's up? It is Stryker. Welcome to Tuna on Toast. Hit that subscribe button as we are building this community. And I want to give a shout out to Velvet Hammer Music and Management Group. They said, Stryker, we love your podcast. Keep doing the episodes. We have your back. Thank you, Velvet Hammer. Now let's get to another episode.
This is Tuna on Toast.
There's a place off Ocean Avenue. What's the place? What's the place? Ryan Key is here. Oh my gosh. Yes. Who is it? A TRL superstar and a current superstar. What's up, Ryan?
How you doing, dude?
Good to see you.
You too.
You look great.
Oh, thanks, man. You too.
Wow, thank you.
What a lovely home you have.
Thank you very much.
So cool.
We're gonna do the thing. Before we start, we need snacks and coffee for you.
Yeah, coffee and just like a little, just some sort of thing for my blood sugar would be just wonderful.
Do you need a small spoon or big spoon for yogurt?
I'll probably do big spoon.
Really? Big spoon?
Do you do small spoon for
Yes,
yogurt?
I do small spoon for yogurt.
I think I used to be a small spoon guy. And then my wife was kind of like, why are you eating your cereal or whatever with that little tiny spoon?
Take your time, yes.
And so I started, out of being pressured and shamed by my wife, I started using a big spoon, and now I kind of get it.
All right, Ryan. Watch your feet and your head.
Yes.
Have a seat. That's for you right there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do you want me to use the little vinyl coaster? I'm a coaster guy.
He respects wood.
Those are there for a reason. I'm going to respect that and use them. My mama raised me right.
His mama raised him right. Let's start the show. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tuna on Toast. It is Ted Stryker. So excited. This man is at my house right now. You know him as the front man from Yellowcard, Ryan Key. Ryan?
Hey, dude.
All right, we've been hanging out in the house for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
I served you up some coffee.
I've had some yogurt and blueberries. I mean, just delightful, really.
Do you feel warm? Do you feel welcomed here?
I do, man. You were outside to greet me when I pulled up. I'm just stoked to be here, man. Thank you.
Of course. This is why Ryan is very classy, and this is very consistent with many of the guests. Your arrival time was 11 a.m., but at 10, you're like, I'm going to be there at 11:09. And
Yes.
I'm like, thanks for telling me. At 11:09, I see Ryan in the car driving over here, which is great, man.
Late, but punctual.
All right, I want to go straight into the present and the future, and then I want to rewind and find out a bunch of information that I don't know.
Sure.
Because you and I have actually known each other probably
About 20 years.
20 years, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about Childhood Eyes. It's the new song. It's not out as we sit here today, but thank you for sending it. The video rules. It's so good, man.
Thank you. So I don't really know where to start, man. I guess I should say that the band broke up, and I use those words correctly. We broke up in 2017 in March. We played our last show, and for all I knew, that was it. This was not a marketing scheme. This was not a leave the door open maybe thing. We were done. So the fact that we're having a conversation about any of this, I should just preface all of this with that, is just wild to me. So exciting, so grateful that we were able to come together as friends and musicians again, and find a direction that made sense for all of us again. And I think it ended up being a break and not a break up, but definitely a more impactful, more intense break than we've ever taken before. And I think that it really revealed how special and important and meaningful the legacy of Yellowcard is. Absolutely. For not just us, but for the people all around the world who have been listening and supporting the band for 20 plus years. So that said, this all just started when our booking agent, her name is Corey Christopher. She's been our booking agent since 2001.
Wow.
She's the only person that's worked with the band for basically our entire career. So
Right.
she's a dear friend. You know, we're pretty much the same age. We've grown up together. We've through the business, and we've learned so much together. And so this whole thing started with basically Corey reaching out to say, hey, I know this is crazy to hear, but Live Nation is interested in what it might mean for us to do some shows. And that snowballed into what we're doing now. But I remember...
Wait, hold on. Now, when they say doing some shows, was the first conversation about being part of a festival? Was
No,
it celebrating
I think
20 years of Ocean Avenue?
Yes, celebrating 20 years of Ocean Avenue. And I also
Okay.
think with the very evident revival of the mid-2000s Warped Tour, insert genre here, emo, pop punk, whatever you want to call it, that's happening right now, I think that played into it too. It was sort of like someone over there realized, wow, this resurgence is happening, and it's the 20th anniversary of Yellowcard's double platinum record. This is
Right.
It's crazy. It's crazy that all of that's crazy to say out loud, but so that's where it started, was a tour. I think the original idea was maybe more of like a co-headline, and we can get into the tour and stuff if you want.
Yes, of course.
Because that got crazy too. It's crazy. The tour is crazy, crazy, crazy. So I would love to talk about it. But music was just off the table though, which is where I'm going with this. I remember when the conversations started early on, we weren't all talking about it as a group because, part of the reason we broke up in 2017 is because some of us were no longer talking. I mean,
So Sean, Ryan, and Josh? So, okay.
And so I don't want to get into all the details of the inner workings of all that, but the vibe was not good.
And this is back in
Internally,
2017
right,
then,
yes.
right? Okay,
Oh,
vibe not good in 2017.
Vibe wasn't good for a few years, and
Okay.
it just finally kind of came to a head of like, this is time. It's time to call a time of death. Like, this is just not working anymore. Personality wise, I hate lack of a better word, success wise, like it was just kind of getting a little slower every year, and it's just not a good feeling. And we wanted to, so we ended up doing this final world tour that blew out of the water, and that felt amazing. It was like, okay, we're sending off on this amazing note instead of these sort of lows that we were constantly feeling in the late 2010s. So anyways, we still weren't really communicating though, some of us. And so when I brought up music, Kristen Harris, our manager, was like, absolutely not. She's like, there's no way you guys are going to go in the studio together. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, that's fine. What do we need music for? Let's just do this tour and celebrate the 20th anniversary and all that.
And you have so many songs in your arsenal.
For sure.
You have
so it was like
8-9 records
and,
or something
and I only
like that.
brought up doing it because it was like, shouldn't we have some vinyl or something to sell on at the merch table? Something new
Right.
to, just like wouldn't. And it was like, you're not going in the studio together. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. We shouldn't do that. But fast forward to getting a phone call, months later, after those of us in the band that were sort of struggling relationship-wise had started to really reconcile and communicate and talk through, the things that led to that sort of negative space we were in 7-8 years ago. And that was all going really well, and we were feeling really positive and really pumped. And then the tour was happening. And so then, out of nowhere, I feel like I need to remind Kristen that I told her we should do music, and she was like, absolutely not. Because out of nowhere, I got a phone call, and she was like, you know what? You guys should do some music. Like it was her. She was like, we should do music. And I was like, didn't I say that we should? But no, I love her. She's amazing. She's the best. We owe like everything that's happening to her and
she
Corey.
is awesome.
Both our agent and her. But anyway, so, that came to be. At the time that conversation started, Sean was still working a very full-time job. He has 2 beautiful children. He's been pretty open on social media and just online in general. His wife has been through a pretty terrible battle with breast cancer. She's killing it. She got through it. She's killing it. I just spent 2 whole days with our whole family at Disney World, and she was just like, she's doing
good,
amazing.
good,
It's
good,
awesome.
good.
She's super strong, back to work, just doing great. So, but anyways, he was going through a lot. So the idea of doing a full-length album was pretty off the table. That was like, where are we going to find the time to, that's a lot of pre-production, and then it's a lot of moving parts. None of us live in the same city. How do we make a full album? So we're pretty crafty these days with producing our own music. Ryan Mendez, our guitarist, and myself have fully functioning recording studios at home. And so we knew we could do a lot of it ourselves, and we just kind of came down on the idea of doing an EP.
I've listened to all 5 songs. Is there a Vic Fuentes voice that I heard in there?
There is.
There is?
There is.
Okay, what's the name of that song?
3 Minutes More.
3 Minutes More.
Yeah, we opened the EP with just I would say that if you're a fan of Yellowcard, that I think the era that is best captured with these songs, and I think people are going to be very pumped to hear me say this, is Paper Walls. And so Paper Walls was the 3rd record we made for Capitol Records, and you know, hindsight's 2020, and I try not to do the regret game, but should have been the 2nd record, not the 3rd one. You know, we made Lights and Sounds, the 2nd Capitol record, and it was this like just dark,
much different sound than the previous one,
it was just
right?
this like dark, you know, substance-fueled Hollywood weird time in our life. It was a pretty typical sophomore experience for a young rock and roll band.
Right.
But after that record, which didn't have anywhere near the commercial success that Ocean Avenue had, we sort of wanted to refocus the sound, and we went and made Paper Walls, and everybody was freaking out, like, oh, this is it, you're back, you know?
Yes.
But the label fell apart all around us at that exact moment in 2007.
Hold on one sec. I just want to slow you down for 1 second here. Making the 2nd album for Capitol after Ocean Avenue, which the sound definitely was different. Was that you guys rebelling against somebody, or were you like, oh, we just don't want to be the same, we want to make a big difference?
I think we just wanted to look, I grew up on, I can never speak for everyone when I do, you know, interviews and things like this, but I grew up on rock and roll. Like, I started playing guitar because I was 11 years old when Nevermind came out, you know?
Wow.
So like, I was a perfect age for the 90s rock and roll experience, right? And when you find yourself with the success that we had off of a 3-chord, you know, pop song that is, I mean, now I can step back and look at all of this now. I'm just putting myself in my 25-year-old shoes. You want to like say, you know, I can do more. I can be more than that. We can expand our sound more than that. And really, it all just comes down to the fact that we just wanted to make a rock and roll record. We wanted to make like a kind of more alternative leaning 90s Foo Fighters, whatever, you know, you want to say. We wanted to try that. And so we did with Lights and Sounds, you know, for better, for worse, we did. I love listening to the record because I love how outside of the box and experimental it was for the age we were. And making that record was an insane experience.
Did you make it here in LA?
Yeah, we did. And we went from a large record deal for a 24-year-old, 23-year-olds to get with Ocean Avenue to an insane record deal for Lights and Sounds. We did a symphony orchestra in Capitol Studio
That's
A
right.
that Sean was conducting in a suit and tie.
And wasn't he going a little bit off the rails, not in a bad way, because he had to conduct and write all that stuff right there, right?
Yeah, it was mental. It was mental, the whole experience.
Christ.
And I was a mess. I was partying and doing the young Hollywood thing. I was out of control, pushing the limits, you know. It was just a really weird time. And so anyways, we refocused, I think, a lot with Paper Walls on like the core of what Yellowcard was, not just to us, but to the fans. And I think it's important that I bring that up now because I think this EP lives right in that moment, in that Paper Walls moment.
Sweet.
And I think the last 2 records that we made before we broke up were very much records for us. They were record, you know, and again, not to speak for everyone in the band, but they certainly were records for me. They're not pop punk if in any way. If that's, I still don't know how I feel about that, John. That word, you know. Pop and punk, like they're conflicting ideas.
And
but
what is alternative?
I know.
What is rock?
It's just genres in general. Yeah. But anyways, I was the 2013 to 2016 when the band broke up was a very tumultuous chapter in my life personally, and professionally. And so those records go, I think, even farther into that Lights and Sounds experience of like we wanted to make like a Pumpkins feeling, just like flowy mid-tempo experimental rock records, and we did 2 of them. And this right now, I think we're in a place where we recognize that we had the opportunity to do that, but that we really want to look at what the people that give us the opportunity to make music, what do they want to hear? And how do we make music that they want to hear that we love to make, right? And it only took like 30 minutes. We went to Austin, Texas, which is where Sean lives, for pre-production.
Right.
Because he was still working his job and his kids and stuff. So we went, Josh, Ryan, and I flew there. We got an Airbnb. We set up a little mobile recording rig, and we did pre-pro there right away. Like going back to the roots of like the original kind of melodic, I don't know what, describing this stuff is hard, but you know what I mean? Like the Ocean Avenue and Paper Walls feeling sounds, as soon as we started doing it, we were like, this feels good. This feels right. So you never want to say like, we're just going to make something because this is what people want to hear. It's not going to be authentic.
Right.
But it was, it was like both things worked for us on this recording experience.
And when you guys got in the room in Austin, Texas, after 6 years, and it was a tumultuous relationship 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you, not speaking for the other guys, have nerves walking into that room with everybody and was time to hit record and do some songs?
For sure.
You did.
For sure. I've done a lot of work on myself, especially since the band broke up, looking at just, who I've been and my experience. And I think it's no secret that early in our career, I didn't necessarily have the best reputation for being like the most personable guy. I had a really short fuse on stage. Like if something broke or went wrong, I always dealt with that wrong back then. And why was I like that? What were those reasons? Have you worked on that to figure? I have them all figured out. A lot of it has to do with, you can't say it's someone else's fault that you did a thing or reacted a certain way, but you can be influenced by other people in your life, And so I don't care to go into like blame pointing and finger pointing, but a lot of what was causing me to be the way I was back then was the environment I was in. I was dealing with like a lot of insecurity about singing and being all of a sudden. We were literally a garage band, not misusing the word. Like our first ever manager came to see us play in a garage. And then 2 years later, we were playing on the Video Music Awards. 2 years later.
Wow.
So I was not ready for any of that. And in addition to that, the personalities within the band were very, very rough, very raw. We were shiny, happy people on the outside, but we were a dumpster fire on the inside. And I really didn't have the tools to navigate that, and to stay positive and to find my way through it. So I think I just shut down a lot. I think I could get kind of cold and insecure and go inward,
Right.
a lot back then.
Because if you put yourself outward, then there's a much better chance for you to get judged even more.
Well, and I think
right?
when I was putting myself outward, it was not right. It was like anger and frustration and those kinds of things that would bubble to the surface, And so again, instead of regretting all of that, I try to like look at it from a place of learning, a place of like how did those experiences get me to where I am today, and how can I do it differently this time? So to your question, walking in the room, it was so important for me personally to make sure that I brought all these sort of new tools with me, and
good,
sort of just an improved version of how I was going to interact with the guys in the band, how I was going to, just leave myself open for ideas and suggestions and creativity and collaborative energy.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome for all of us, man. We worked all day, and then we'd, pour some whiskeys at night and sit around the table and just talk about how exciting all of this is and how we never thought we'd be here again. And I mean, it's, I'm getting a little thinking about it,
Yeah.
It's intense, man. It's really intense.
No BS. I love Childhood Eyes. I've listened to it so
Thank you, man.
many times. I don't know if you have, because of the way it was sent to me, if you can look to see how many times I've listened to it.
I don't think
but
I
it's
can.
probably around like between 8 and 11 times.
Cool.
And when you're done watching Ryan and I or listening, watch the video.
Yeah.
This is a cinematic video.
Yeah, man.
It feels like a movie, and it feels like super high budget.
Yeah, and it was not.
Okay. How the hell did you do that?
Okay. The song, I am so excited about the song. Again, I think it kind of lives in that Paper Walls era of music for us, where there's still some of that lights and sounds, rock feeling to it that we did carry over into. A lot of fans will say Paper Walls was sort of the best of both worlds of Ocean Avenue and Lights
You got
and
a
Sounds.
lot of
It's
love
we
from
figured,
fans and writers and
the record sort of, they say, oh, this is the culmination of the sound you were looking for, right? I think Childhood Eyes has a lot of that. I think lyrically, I pushed the limits a little bit of what people might be used to from me, but I'm 43 years old now. I hope no one's expecting me to write lyrics like I was writing when I was 23 years old, because it's not going to happen. So I'm really pumped on what the song is, what it means. And I'll tell you that this very rarely happens to me, but it has happened before. And this is completely true story. This song came to me very shortly after we talked about maybe making some music. I woke up in the middle of the night in my room, wife asleep, picked up my phone, opened my notepad, and just started writing the lyrics to this song. Wow. I had the melody, I found my childhood eyes in my head. I had that, and I started with that, and then, I'm in that for 20 or 30 minutes. I'm like, I think I have there's a verse coming now. That very rarely happens to me. But so I typed a bunch of it out. It wasn't the final thing, obviously, but I got a lot of ideas down, and never picked up a guitar though. I never put it to music. When we got to Austin, we had finished this skeleton of like 4 of the other ideas. And I was like, hey guys, I have this thing. I have it in my head. I can hear it in my head, but I've never picked up a guitar to try to play along to it. And so they were like, well, let's do it. Let's do that. It was like 15 minutes. I mean, it was just like,
oh my God,
boom, done, and am
I the only one with childhood eyes?
So
I like that.
So the song to me it's what I tried to do with the lyrics for this song, and I think what woke me up is I've been personally on my own journey musically since the band broke up, and it has been the ultimate hustle of my life, trying to not stop doing music, to be able to, pay my mortgage and just do music. It's been insane. I've toured by myself. I mean, I went back to in 2018, 19, I had a Econoline van with work gloves on, and I was just humping all my gear, opening for bands, like touring on my own. It was awesome. It was hard, because I'm a spoiled brat who's had a guitar tech for 15, 20 years, but it was a grind. And throughout a lot of it, I would find myself, like, I think one of my biggest mental health struggles was just my feeling about the music business in general. And so with the song, I tried to sort of personify that, the you in the song being music, the industry, the dream, And so in the verses, a lot of that is about, I open the song with, I'm all alone at the altar now. I've got an atheist heart.
Yes.
Yes. Meaning like I don't believe anymore. And then I've done this a lot, I think, in my songwriting throughout the years. A lot of times I'll turn those ideas on their head in the chorus, though. And the chorus sort of talks about, but I'm still here. I'm still in it. Am I the only one who still thinks this is possible?
Yes.
Who still has faith that I can create and follow my dreams and succeed even this late in the game, And so the song conceptually, lyrically, I think I'm really pumped on how I was able to get that out, because I wanted to say that. I wanted to be like, God, this has been hard, but I still believe.
Well, I'm going to play it on my show right now, by the way. It's going to be on Out of Order.
Enjoy,
yes.
everyone.
Before we get to our next topic, we need a quick break for a game.
Okay.
And it's called the Ryan Key Game. So that's in quotes.
Okay.
And it's rapid fire. Put on your thinking cap. Once again, a game on Tuna on Toast. Here we go. And I'm still waiting for a game show deal. This Florida area is a string of tropical islands.
The Florida Keys.
This singer Keys has won 15 Grammy Awards and has me falling.
15 Grammys?
This singer Keys has won 15 Grammy Awards and has me falling.
Singer Keys.
You got to pass. You're taking too long.
Pass.
Dan and Patrick are 2 of the keys to this Howlin' For You band.
Dude. Pass.
This Ryan was a child actor in the Mickey Mouse Club and a quarterback in Remember the Titans.
Ryan Felipe. No. Ryan Gosling.
This Ryan co-owns a soccer team and a cell phone company.
Ryan Reynolds.
You want to go back to the ones you missed?
Keys.
Oh, I'll have one more. This Ryan went Knives Out directing Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Okay. hold on. Like the last name of the singer is Keys, and it's not Alicia Keys. Okay.
And then
Because you were like falling, like
that's how she sings. Falling.
I was getting like Nickelback vibes from that.
I don't want to make these two. And then Dan and Patrick are two of the keys to this Howlin' For You band.
Howlin' For You, I don't know.
The Black Keys.
Oh yeah, see, that's I missed the whole like late 2000s, 2010s like gritty Coachella rock. I missed that.
That's okay.
I missed that.
How'd you like
Sorry,
the game
guys.
though? It's a good game, isn't it?
It's really good.
Good. You get that one right as well.
Very, dude. Those questions were extremely creative. That was really good.
Who gave you your first guitar? Or how'd you get it?
My grandmother, my dad's mom, my Nana, bought it for me for my 12th birthday, I think.
Did you ask for it?
I did because I wanted to learn how to play.
And
So
did
that
she
was it.
take you to a music store, a music shop?
She did. What was the name of the store?
So had you ever played any instrument up until that time?
I played piano,
Okay.
but I quit when I was 9. I quit. I took lessons for like 2 years and quit, which is I keep saying I live without regrets. That's the one. That's my
really?
one regret is quitting piano lessons.
Well, maybe they were teaching you songs you didn't want to know how to
Well,
learn.
it was just so I mean, still relevant in my life at 43 years old. Like I want to be able to do it right now. You know what I mean? I want to make it. I want to create it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to. I can't like shred on guitar. I can't play like guitar
Well-
solos because I was never really interested in playing guitar. I wanted to write songs. So whatever like the quickest means to be able to learn to make noise on the guitar to write a song to it. That was my process for learning guitar. I even skipped when I was young. I skipped like learning other bands. All my friends were like learning every Green Day song, every Smashing Pumpkins song, I just wanted to start writing. So like when you'd sit around with your friends and everybody, let's jam this song. I still am kind of a deer in headlights.
But the first song you wanted to learn was "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Yes, yeah, I just wanted. I was like, this is it. I grew up a pop kid. My parents weren't super musical. They were. I love you, mom, dad, but they were kind of yacht rocky. You know,
Okay.
like Florida. You know, we'd go out on the boat and just
Yeah.
listen to Jimmy Buffett and whatever else. Right.
There's nothing wrong with yacht rock.
Dude,
I'm much older than
have-
you, but I think yacht rock's not bad.
Dude, I have multiple yacht rock playlists for like pool time and beach time. Okay, so I get it. I'm into it, but they weren't like, you know, no one in my young formative years was like, here's a Zeppelin record, check this out, you know.
I got
So
you.
I didn't get any of that stuff. So I grew up watching MTV. It's something I've always kind of stood by with like being in a pop band like Yellowcard, like being in a more mainstream band. Like that's what I knew music was. So how was I to know about like the independent, you know what I mean? Like
Right,
I sort of was
right.
striving for that, what I saw on MTV and whatever from a very young age. But that said, I grew up on Michael Jackson and Madonna and Prince and New Kids on the Block and whatever was pop, you know, and then into like Guns N' Roses and Poison and like when the hair metal thing exploded on MTV. But dude, I don't know. I was just, like I said, it was a perfect age, you know, starting to kind of come into adolescence and you hear Nirvana for the first time and you're just like shook. You're just
Right.
this is what I feel right now. Like, you know, I don't know why we were all so angry in the 90s, but we were.
I thought it was
90s
also
kids.
pretty interesting, at least from my vantage point, and maybe yours as well. We saw Nirvana on MTV,
Mm-hmm.
but because there was no internet, I didn't know the struggle of Kurt Cobain early on and the things he went through in life. And
For sure.
he was the outcast, and all of a sudden he was the opposite of the outcast. He was the A-lister, and
Yep.
how that was a real struggle for him. And I didn't really know much about depression back then and addiction.
For sure.
And all of that kind of
For
stuff.
sure. One thing that I love about Kurt Cobain's story, the more you read about him as a person, and is that he, as far as the pieces I can put together, he kind of shared that thing I just mentioned. Like he kind of did want to be like a superstar, but he also hated the idea of being a superstar. It was this real
Right.
inner struggle for him. You know, and so I got that first guitar because of that record. Just really opened my eyes to rock and roll. I think for the first time, really making me feel something. You know what I mean? As a pop kid growing up, I was dancing around the living room, you know, moonwalking.
Right.
But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
this just made it was like an emotional response. less as opposed to a show business response, a spectacle like, wow, this is amazing, is what you get from watching Thriller and all that stuff as a kid. This was like in my gut, like, whoa,
you felt
what
it.
is this? So yeah, and then I got my first Epiphone Les Paul and the little crate combo amp,
And so did you get lessons on guitar straight away?
So I got a chord book. I learned how to play G, C, D, E.
Were you hooked on it?
Yeah, I was totally hooked on it. Writing really terrible 12-year-old, 13-year-old songs on my guitar. But then, and I'll go through this as quick as I can. But I had a really good friend who passed away in 2001 that I grew up with. We've several songs. "View from Heaven" from Ocean Avenue I wrote for him when I was young. It was just a couple years after he died. But anyways, he was an insane drummer for his age. He was 15, 14 years old.
What was his name?
Scott Shad.
Okay.
We have a local band in Jacksonville called Inspection 12. They're still making music now, but he was a drummer for them, and our dads were business partners. His dad owned the car dealership. My dad was like the VP of operations. So we worked our summer job crushing oil filters and stuff at our dad's car dealership. And, we were just working. Working was climbing up in the rafters and smoking cigarettes when we were like 16 years old, 15 years old, But one day he was like, and at this point, I'm a total grunge kid. I'm still obsessed with, I think I moved from Nirvana more. The Pumpkins were my thing.
So at that time, so you got Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Nirvana.
I was Pearl Jam.
Soundgarden,
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Loved Pearl Jam. I was a big Pearl Jam fan, big Nirvana fan, big Pumpkins fan. I was late. Now I'm a huge fan. I was late to Stone Temple Pilots and late to Soundgarden.
Oh, Scott Weiland. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I was late to those couple bands, but now I love them. I loved Radiohead too. I like the softer stuff too. I was into Radiohead, and I was still in like Third Eye Blind. The Third Eye Blind self-titled record is like
So
still top
good.
5 records all time
Yep.
for me. So
Stephen Jenkins was here in that seat. He came
right
over.
on,
Yeah,
right on.
He did the show.
So I was diverse. My palate was diverse in high school. But Scott brought me over to his house one day after work, and Inspection 12 was already playing, NoFX. They were doing that. And I had never heard that before. So I'm 16 years old. I come over for band practice, and I'm like, what is this? And they were good for high school kids. Their Inspection 12 was an insane band. They were really talented. Tons of harmony, all that skate punk 90s octave harmony stuff on the guitars. I just was like, oh my God. And it was like, I might as well taken all of my like rock records that had formed me as a human and just threw them in the trash. So I was like, what is this? I want to do this, So Scott gave me a Propagandhi record, a No Use for a Name record, and NoFX Punk and Drublic, and said, check these out. And so for the remainder of high school, my like sophomore, junior, senior year, I was in a band that was playing the faster kind of punky stuff. And
were you the singer of that band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how long we have to talk. I hated singing in general, but I liked singing on the weekends in a punk band with my friends.
Okay.
It was fun.
Did you take any singing lessons? Were
No.
you in
So
choir
I
in
was
school?
a theater kid. I my whole life studied theater. Went to a concert, like a performing arts high school. I was accepted into a Bachelor of Fine Arts program for theater in college. That was my whole life plan, was to not, music was not my life plan. And not what I was aspiring towards when I was that age. So on the weekends, whatever. But like at my school, Douglas Anderson School of the Arts in Jacksonville, we had to do a musical every year. And I mean, you don't want to sit here and be like, I was good. But I did all the shows in high school. I was in it. I was in it, and I was working really hard, and I was learning, and I was super into it. But I hated musical theater. And I've told the story in a lot of interviews, but to tell you how real that is, in like 2006 or 7, I made final callbacks for Green Day for American Idiot on Broadway.
No way.
Not for the Broadway show, but for the initial testing.
Yeah.
I made final callbacks. So I'm reading for the writers, producers, everyone. I mean, when you make a final, I've done it a couple times. I made a movie once, which was really crazy, but they're all in there. It's super overwhelming because the other auditions was just like one person. Now they're all there.
You're performing A+ level.
There's
turn
a
it up
band.
to volume 10.
I had to sing Green Day songs.
What song were you singing?
I had to do, they picked them. So I had to do St. Jimmy and American Idiot.
Oh, I love both of those. Okay.
And so I had to do those in front of them
St.
with a
Jimmy.
band,
Yeah.
and then I had to do a monologue. And I had to choose the monologue from stuff they gave too. I didn't get to pick my own. So
Did you have it memorized?
Did
or
I
were
then?
you on book?
No,
Yeah.
I did. I had it memorized.
You had it
then,
memorized,
yeah.
okay.
But so, and this is, I had dropped out of college and started playing in a band, which the story's going all over the place now, because I didn't get into the college I wanted to go to, and I was a brat, and so I was like, Mom and Dad, I'm dropping out. And I started playing in a band, and then we were playing the VMAs, and I didn't know how to sing, and that's kind of where this is all going.
Okay.
I hated singing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was never supposed to be that big of a responsibility for me. But anyways, they called, and they were like, if this was a straight play, he's in. Amazing to see that he's able to do that, whatever, but he just doesn't have the voice for this. And it's like, I'm like, yes, that's what I've been trying to tell you guys. Like, so it wasn't until after Lights and Sounds and a lot of alcohol and substance abuse and really dark days and growing a massive cyst on my vocal cord and having that operated on that I got sober for a year, quit smoking cigarettes after 10 years of smoking a pack a day since I was like 15, all that stuff. Started taking vocal lessons, not for the first time until 2006 or 7. It was the first time I ever was like, let's maybe see how it is that when you're singing in front of 2,000 people, you should be, or more when you're doing an awards show or whatever, how you should sing. So I finally figured that out.
And how much has that helped you? How much did it help you?
Dude, absolute game changer. It's still, people are like, what? But it's still not my favorite thing to do. Full disclosure, singing is not my favorite activity.
I just want to go over what your job is.
Exactly.
Singer?
I know.
Songwriter?
Yes,
musician?
I'm well aware. It's still not my favorite thing, only because it is still very challenging for me. You know, like we just talked about Alicia Keys. She probably doesn't even warm up. She just walks in a room and just rips and wails, you know? And I've had friends like that through my life in music that are big, massive, multi-platinum selling pop stars. And you go to their show and they're backstage, like, just chilling with a cocktail. They're like, oh, well, I'm on. And they go out and crush, you know? I cannot do any of that, especially now. I mean, I used to, and I would lose my voice every third show. But now, I mean, I have to be so vigilant about how I care for it, how I take care of it, how I rest it. And so that's really why. I mean, I know I'm not complaining. I'm obviously,
right.
I am so grateful for
yeah.
what I get to do for a living, but it's a lot of work to maintain, which is what makes it sort of the least fun aspect of what I do.
But Ryan, I bet I've had a lot of people in this chair, and I think we believe it's so easy for everybody, but behind the scenes, everybody's going through just a little bit.
Yeah.
If it's their voice, they need to warm up more, or maybe they get nervous on stage, there's anxiety. The whole thing, I think the great people like Alicia Keys, whoever it is, you make it look easy when you're out there.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
behind the scenes, it's a lot.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot. So our summer tour starts in July, and right now I warm up every day, even though I'm not playing a show. You know, I'm just.
Are you doing the Ocean Avenue album in full?
No, we're not.
Okay,
we're not. I mean, we're probably playing over half of it, but we're not doing the whole album. But yeah, I'm already in the routine of warming up every day just to get back in the groove and get my vocal cords moving. You know, and those are the things I've learned over the years. And yes, starting to take. I have to give credit. Eric Vitro, he's a very popular, very world-renowned vocal coach here in LA. And the guy, he changed my life. I mean, he changed my life. He really taught me what I was capable of, and taught me how to, like, if you watch a video, I won't watch it because I can't stand listening to myself on late night television in 2004. But if you want to watch it, I'm singing Ocean Avenue like this, like just you can. I mean, I'm just getting it as hard as I can strain it out.
Yeah.
And now I can just sing it like this, like I'm talking to you. You know, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know that it was all up here and how to bring it out from the right place. And so I can make it through a tour much more successfully now without losing my voice, and that's great. And in the studio too, I'm just more comfortable and I have more control over what I'm doing.
You're putting in the work.
Yeah, man, you gotta.
Let's rewind to the album Ocean Avenue, but specifically the song. What do you remember about writing that song and recording it?
Mm-hmm. Similar experience to Childhood Eyes, actually. I had those lines in a notebook. At least there's a place off Ocean Avenue where I used to sit and talk with you. At the beginning of that, I had it in there. The song itself was sort of born in, nowadays if we demo a song in pre-production, we're sitting in a room like this with a laptop and we just, here's our drums. These are our drums now. Right. But back then we would go to the swing house for 8 weeks, in Hollywood, set up live and write all the music, which you can still do. And I think would probably be pretty cool to do again sometime. But, it's just so nice now to be able to like change things on the fly when you're demoing and whatever with the technology we have. But the song was born from the drum beat and the guitar coming up with that initial rhythm that you hear in the song. And that allowed me to bounce that rhythm da 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 off that rhythm. FYI, I can't play and sing that rhythm. It's too syncopated. I can't go dun 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 and sing it at the same time.
Really?
Yeah. So I go I do that part. But again, guitar playing, whatever. I just want to write songs. So yeah, but the thing, and I mean, some people know this. This has definitely been talked about before. But the song, very, very much, almost didn't go on the album.
I know that. I know it almost didn't go on the album. Give me the Reader's Digest version. Why it almost didn't get on the album.
So I had this chorus, and I'm so mad that I can't remember. And the only person I thought might remember is my friend Pete Mosley, who was the bassist and songwriter at that time, during that time in the band. And I'm pretty sure I've asked him, and he was like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember either." It was either like a Cyndi Lauper song or a give me another like 80s
Gloria
female group.
Estefan?
No, like a group. What was the
En Vogue? That's 90s.
What am I thinking of?
The Go-Go's?
No, it's like names. It's like 2 or 3 names.
Oh, Salt and Peppa? Belle Biv DeVoe?
That's it. No, but anyway, I can't remember, but I had a melody for the chorus. And Ocean Avenue is one of the only songs in our entire discography that is just the same chords over, with or without you style. Same chords over and over again.
Yes.
With or Without You doesn't even have a bridge. It's literally the same chords, the whole entire song. Masterpiece. But anyways, so it's just going from the verse to those same chords, which is challenging. I think unless you're Bono, and he probably wrote that in one sitting and just had all of those melodies like just done.
Well, when you have the edge involved as well, that helps.
So I had this melody at the swing house while we were playing it, and everyone was just like, "You can't do that. Like, you can't do that melody. That's this song, And it was. I mean, it was like note for note, whatever song, and I can't remember what it was, but it was some 80s female pop song.
Okay.
And so, I can't do that. Well, we moved on, and we kept working on the other 12 songs on the album and pre-pro and stuff, and we had the music mapped out for Ocean Avenue. Get in the studio, get all the way through it, track the verses. And I mean, we had like 5 days left or something. And it was really 5 days left. On the 6th day, another band was coming into Sunset Sound, into the room we were in. You had to be done. And throughout the process, I would keep coming in. Shout out to Neil Avron, our producer, one of the biggest mixers in the game now. I mean, if he was a #1 song on pop radio, I bet Neil mixed it.
Did you work with him on the new songs or no?
Yes, we did.
You did?
Yeah, so
it all came around. Let's be patient. Let's finish this story, though.
So I would come in and I'd be like, "What about this?" No, it's just not. That's not it. What about this? No, that's not it. And one day, and if you ever want to know like stories of why sometimes the rest of the band is like the lead singer of the band, someone else was tracking something, whether it was a guitar or Sean was playing violin or something. And I came in and was like, "What about this? If I could find you now, things would get better." And Neil was like, "Sorry, whoever was recording. Go in there right now and do that." You know what I mean? Like go sing right now. So apologies to whoever I cut off. I can't remember who it was, but I went in there and I sang it right away, and that was it. But we were at 0 hour. I mean, we had 3 or 4 days or something left. Wow. And if I hadn't walked in there, we were going to finish it later, and it was going to be a B-side.
A B-side.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. So Neil telling you to get in there immediately, and you coming up at that second is the reason that it was able to get on the album.
Yeah.
So now I have back-to-back questions here. The first one is, where did you shoot the video for that song?
For Ocean Avenue?
Yes.
Oh,
was
man,
that here in L.A.?
Yeah.
You're running around?
Like out by the 6th Street Bridge where everybody shoots bridge scenes, Right. John Wick.
Yes.
Yes. If you're in a car chase, drive with Gosling, always going over that bridge.
Ryan Gosling, there you go.
My dude. We shot it out there. There was we shot there was like an old abandoned hotel or something over there that we shot the interior stuff. I think we shot at that, what's it called? Do you know what it's called? There's a big old like hospital hotel type building that is abandoned that film sets use all the time.
I don't know.
We shot Rough Landing Holly there too.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. Same director, so we shot there too. But yeah, that video, man, we worked with Mark Webb, who went on to be a feature film director. And we went through this with Childhood Eyes with this video too, which is funny. I've just been talking about this with people. One thing that I have always, I think like a shortcoming of mine in the band has always been the initial idea for visuals. What do you want the album cover to be? I'm like a deer in headlights. I don't know why. I don't have it, Video is the same thing. Like, what do you think a concept for this video would be? I don't know. But as soon as a director comes up with a treatment that is like the one, which by the way hasn't happened in almost 20 years. This video that you're talking about, Childhood Eyes, in my opinion, is the best video we've made since Rough Landing Holly in 2006. I think everything in between that is, I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, because now people are going to go watch it, and I don't want you to watch it.
Well, watch the Childhood Eyes video, which we discussed earlier in the pod, and it's
my
incredible.
Point with that being is I got this treatment and was like, whoa. Then I turn on. I'm a huge film I'm currently on the side from Yellowcard trying to get into film, like composing for film and TV. That's really what I'd like to be doing when I'm old and gray. And so I'm just a cinephile. I watch everything, and so I saw it, and then when in my head when I read it, and then I go into like hyper creative mode. Then I'm like, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we, And so we worked with my friend Jordan Phoenix, who is based in St. Louis, and I don't know if anyone out there has seen the video for War from Story of the Year from their new album.
Okay, yeah,
it's super fun. I mean, it's like a heist thing, and they're all wearing like disco 70s costumes, and there's machine guns and kung fu fights, and it's amazing. And I know that Story of the Year doesn't have $500,000 to make a video either. They're like some of my closest friends in music, and so I'm like, how did you do that? And they were like, well, we did it with our friend Jordan here in Phoenix, or in St. Louis. He's he's just a really cool filmmaker and whatever. So I was like, please give me his number. So I did. I sent him the song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really have any ideas, man, but I think based on that video, I would love to work with you, because I think you can squeeze a lot out of a 2023 budget for a video. And he came back to me with this idea of us like being held captive by our younger selves, and
he did an amazing job,
escape.
as did you guys.
It's so cool, man. I'm so excited about it. There's a little Easter egg in there too that I'm really pumped on. If you notice, all the little kids who are playing the guards, they have that lamb on their arms. There's a patch with a little white lamb on it, which is the same lamb from the briefcase in the Ocean Avenue Rough Landing Holly videos.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah, and we always sort of equated that, like, because it was like, what's in the briefcase? Pulp Fiction style.
Right.
And I think the closest thing I could ever come up with to sort of say, well, it can be whatever you want it to be, but I always thought it was sort of like my innocence sort of being in there. That's in Ocean Avenue. That's like what was being stolen. And in Rough Landing Holly, it's gone. And Lights and Sounds, it's gone. The case is open. It's let out of the box. And so these kids are kind of holding us hostage with that sort of that badge of innocence on them, and yeah, just
brought it
so
all
cool,
around, man.
So cool.
It's very, very cool. What is the place off Ocean Avenue though? We just learned recently, now I'm drawing a of what for Under the Bridge Chili Peppers. What bridge? Where's the bridge in LA? Finally revealed. Maybe like 7 years ago now.
Right.
What's the place off Ocean Avenue?
So when I told you, I mentioned this earlier, that I was a college dropout. I'm a 2-time college dropout. I like to say I'm an overachiever. But during that time, I was in Tallahassee, Florida, at Florida State University, and then I would go back to Jacksonville, and then I had this very interesting blip where I took all my scholarship money in my car, moved to Santa Cruz, California, and was playing in this tiny little band called Craig's Brother, who were on Tooth and Nail Records.
Okay.
Remember Tooth and Nail Records? MXPX, and
yes,
back in the day.
Yeah.
So I played with them for like 8 or 9 months in 1999, but it didn't work out, and I ran out of money, and came home and went back to school, whatever. But during that time, I was still really close with all my friends from high school, and I would be out in Jacksonville Beach. My parents decided to move to the beach after I left home. So I grew up like deep in town. I leave home. My sister gets to go to high school like across from the ocean. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Right, yeah.
So when I was coming home at 1920, they were living at the beach. So it was just kind of, it is sort of a generalization for that time and that place. And I think I wrote that song. A lot of that album, obviously, Ocean Avenue, is about us leaving home, us, following dreams and heading west and all the things that we did. So that song is kind of just about moments and places in time with friends and experiences, like, where we would, simplified, we're just hanging out. We're just hanging out, drinking cold beers on the beach at 3:00 in the morning together. And one day that all has to end and you have to leave,
Yeah.
And so Ocean Avenue is actually Ocean Boulevard on the map in Jacksonville Beach, or in Atlantic Beach,
Yeah.
Florida. But Avenue rhymed better, so I just changed it.
So you changed it Ocean Avenue.
Yeah.
Who are some of the bands early on when you first joined Yellowcard, bands that had some success that took you guys out? And you're like, oh my God, we're touring with these guys.
Oh, man. So cool. I mentioned that I spent that latter part of my teenage years really getting into the Warped Tour scene. NoFX, Strung Out, No Use for a Name, Lagwagon, Bad Religion, all that stuff that was happening at that time. And so early on, 2001, 2 and 3, we got to tour with both Lagwagon and No Use for a Name, who at the time were rock and roll royalty to us. We weren't thinking like VMAs and radio, and those weren't things that were in our vocabulary at the time. So this was just like, we're going on tour with Fat Records bands. We've made it.
Right.
This is it.
Right.
So
Fat Mike, Fat with his fabric.
Yeah. So that gave us a lot of experience on the road. It gave us the opportunity to learn from, some real road dogs. I think it really helped our early touring career that we didn't go out with like some like massive arena or stadium or whatever, with catering and the thing, because we were still going out with guys who had spent their, they were 10 years older than us. So they'd already been through this van and trailer life. And we just learned so much from how to work with a crew and how to run a show properly in a small venue. And
were you achieving your goals then at that time? You're on the road. You're touring with these bands.
Absolutely. I think I could say that we maybe had one real clear-cut goal, which was to like be on the main stage at the Warped Tour someday. And obviously we quickly achieved that after we got going. But that was pretty much, in our minds, that was the top of the mountain.
How fast did it go for you guys from some people knowing who you are to a lot of people? Because I'm thinking back and I was right there.
Yeah.
I watched it happen.
Yeah.
I was playing the music early on, but it's hard for me to put, when things are happening, you don't make a note. Remember every millisecond of this.
Correct.
So give me like kind of the year, the months, and how that went down where you all of a sudden went to a different level.
Big, broad brushstrokes. I'm pretty good at remembering.
Okay.
Small things. It was
Yeah.
I liked to party back then. So it's a little foggy. But fast, so fast. So we moved out to California. So it would be my second time moving out to California to do music again. I had come home. I started playing with Yellowcard. I think they were really pumped on the idea that I had already done this once, and so I had played with them XPX, and I had played with Slick Shoes and some of the bands these Tooth and Nail bands that we liked. And so, I don't know, I just had some insight into like, hey, if you guys want to, I know it's crazy, but we could move, I made some friends out there. We could move out there, crash on their couch, figure out where we're going to live, do it. And that's literally how we did it. But we got this tiny little record deal in 2000, the summer of 2000. So we came out here in like October, November of 2000, recorded the first little independent record we made. And then by January, we were all living in sort of Central California area, which is where I had met some people when I was out here in 99. And so through 2000 and the beginning, early part of 2001, we were touring on that first little independent record. And by touring, I mean, we were on our yellowcardrock.com message board saying, can we play at your house? Or can we play, it was like things where you'd like show up to the venue and doors were locked. No one was there. So some kid would be like, I have a storage unit. We could go play there, stuff like that. Right. And so that was happening in like 2000, early 2001. And then I think it was like spring, if I'm remembering right, 2001, we sold out our first show at Chain Reaction in Anaheim.
Wow.
And So it was like 300 people or something, you know, because we had been hitting
And
like
great venue also.
the best. We had been hitting Southern California really hard, playing as many shows we could open for anyone. So we had gotten enough in Orange County to where a couple hundred people would come see us, you know? And so we did that. And that was right around the time that Corey Christopher, our booking agent, again, she's like 2 years older than me, maybe. She's my age. And so she was a young agent that was she had worked with Stormy, who booked Warped Tour and, and a lot of those punk bands that we've been talking about. She had just kind of split off to start her own shop, and she had Rise Against and the Mad Caddies and a couple of other bands. And she was like, do you guys want to go on tour this fall with Rise Against, and I'll be your booking agent? You know, like came to see us play at that chain show or around it or whatever. And of course we were like, yes, we want that. So we didn't have a manager or anything at the time. It was still just us doing everything and Corey. So we went out and did our tour with Rise Against. We had since gotten a manager, which is a story for another time, because that was just a wild, crazy people ending up in prison story. It's just crazy time. But none of us, but the manager. So anyways,
You can't just throw that out there and not have me ask.
but I don't want to. I don't like to. You know, it's like their personal life. It's like we had a manager who ended up going to jail.
Okay.
And it was really weird. But
do you write him letters now? I mean, no.
haven't spoken to him.
All right.
But before that happened, right before it happened, just to give you the timeline, we recorded in November of 2000, our first little independent record deal. We signed our deal memo, like our letter of intent, with Capitol Records in April of 2002.
Okay.
So it was like, boom.
So they knew of One for the Kids.
And our touring.
And they knew
the
your
touring. That's all they cared about.
They said, we want to be in business with these gentlemen.
They
give you a deal?
Yes. So it was, you know, we signed like the short form thing, and then we spent the summer of 2002 going through the contract and getting that all done. Sorry. I messed this up. The jail thing didn't happen until 2003 on the eve of Yellowcard.
And I don't want to make light of that, by the way, because I don't know what it was.
No, it's fine. But the mishap with our first manager didn't happen until 2003, right on the eve of Ocean Avenue releasing.
Oh my God.
So that's right. It was even gnarlier than that. So, but all that to say, super grateful to this person because he got us our Capitol deal. He was an amazing dude. It was just an unfortunate series of events. But anyways, in 2003, we recorded, so a year later, we recorded Ocean Avenue, and we signed with Spivak Sobel's management. So Arthur Spivak was our manager at that time. He was just legend, amazing, and that was it. So we were in a van and trailer in 2002, and we were on our first tour bus April 1st of 2003. I mean, it was just like overnight.
Wow, and you got songs on the radio and the videos.
Yeah, Way Away hit the radio, right. and
Way Away was
that summer
the first single before Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, that hit that summer in 2003. So I remember sitting on the bus watching the video for the first time on MTV. It's all together.
Ryan, you're telling me all these stories. Everyone's watching and listening. I thought at times like, God, these guys they're a band, and then all of a sudden they're on the radio. But the struggle. Or the work, not the struggle. Yeah. The work you guys put in was real. It wasn't necessarily overnight. You were working hard and you were writing your songs.
Yeah, we were playing probably in 2000.
That's right. Sorry, go ahead.
In 2002 and 3, we were probably playing, I'm not exaggerating, like 300 shows a year. Wow. A lot of times we were playing 2 in a day because we figured out a method where we could go to high schools. We would contact the principals at local high schools and ask them if we could come in and play in the lunchroom at lunch hour. And so we would just show up, and none of these kids knew who we were or what was going on, but we would bring our little PA on sticks into the lunchroom, set up, rip a gig, pack up, drive to the venue, and play the show that night. We were doing that year round for a couple of years.
Wow. And you guys have created a lot of songs with under the Yellowcard umbrella.
Yeah.
It's just not 2 albums. That's like, for you, 7 or 8 or 9 even, right?
Yeah, if you count, we did an EP right in between the independent record and Ocean Avenue. Capitol sort of wanted to do a transitional thing and not have us just jump from the indie to the major overnight. I don't know that matters anymore, but back then there was a stigma still with the major labels and the like, you're my band and now it's not cool anymore, kind of all that stuff, which I understand. But so we put out an EP on Fueled by Ramen that was licensed to them on the way up to Ocean Avenue. So if you count that one and then these 5 songs, I think that I've been a part of, we're at 9 records, I think.
Good
So-
for you, man. Couple more
crazy.
things because we've been here 58 minutes going at this
Wow,
already.
sorry, I talked.
No, it's good.
talked
This
too
is good. Hold on. Okay. You love Star Wars.
I do.
How's the podcast going?
Really good, man.
And what's the official name of it?
Thank the maker.
Okay.
So my longtime dear friend, Adam Russell, the bassist of Story of the Year.
Yes.
I mean, we are just thick as thieves.
Okay.
Man, and we both love it to an unhealthy degree, you know. Props to my wife for just letting me be who I am going to be, you know. And to Adam's wife too. She's amazing. But we were talking about doing some kind of pop culture podcast for a long time. Just something like covering movies, video games, stuff, the nerdy stuff we love. And I came to the realization, like, dude, I don't think I have the bandwidth to cover all that stuff. What if we just did Star Wars? And he was like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool. So we just sat and talked for a couple hours on the first episode and threw it up. And we've been doing it for almost 4 years now.
How many episodes have you done roughly?
I
That's all right. More than 200?
Close to it.
Close to that's
Close to
that's
it.
that's a great run.
Close to it. And so we also have we brought in, after 10 or so episodes, we brought in our friend Nick Gambarian, who plays bass for, I'm surrounded by bassists, I can't get away from it, for Bayside.
Okay, yeah.
He is just an encyclopedia of Star Wars. I mean, we're in it, dude. Like I just went to London for Star Wars Celebration and spent
Did you dress up?
all 3 days, full kits, full cosplay that I make myself. I do. I mean, it's
Same character each day?
no, I kind of do my own thing. I don't do
Okay.
like screen I don't do like on screen characters. I kind of just make my own rad like vibe.
Yeah.
Stuff. So, yeah, you know, I mean, I have a rack of lightsabers and blasters and all this stuff, artwork and everything at home. I mean, I
Who's
love
the
it.
best Star Wars
So-
character of all time?
I'm a Yoda man. Myself.
Yoda. Okay, who's second then?
Well, it's a complicated question. From a lore standpoint, Anakin.
Okay.
From a filmmaking
Is
standpoint,
Anakin Darth Vader?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. From a filmmaking standpoint, I'm not the biggest fan of the prequel films. I've learned to appreciate and love them a lot more through doing the podcast. That's why
Are the prequel films from the 70s?
no, they're the 90.
Oh, the 90s.
99, 2003,
Okay.
and
All right, that would be
2005.
1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6 were
2002.
the first ones that ever came out, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So through doing the podcast, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most is we try to create a space for fans that is very positive. You know, come here because you love this thing that you love. If there's things that you don't like, we can talk about those, and but we don't make content about what sucks. We make content about what's amazing about the phenomenon that this fandom has grown over the last 40 years, and that we're still a part of it. And, you know, so the prequels, pre-podcast, I would have been a pretty vocal hater. Now, having Nick and Adam and the discussions that we have, like, I've learned so much about the making of the films and, you know, what the actors have been through. They got so much backlash because the movie,
Right.
it's just, I've learned so much, and like it's given me a whole new respect for the films themselves, and like I'm able to sort of go, okay, well, you know, to use a Star Wars line, from a certain point of view, this is a, you know, it's just a different experience. And for the kids who were 10 years old in 1999, those are their movies, you know, just like the original movies are our movies. So it's just been really fun, man. I love, we're traveling, you know, we've had insane guests on the show. I mean, real Star Wars people have come on the show.
That's great. Good.
And yeah, it's just been amazing. So we're on YouTube now. We just started doing YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to really try to hammer that and grow that. I think that's like the next phase of the evolution of it. But everywhere you listen to podcasts, it's just called Thank the Maker, and you can check it out.
What's the best Star Wars movie ever? You have one choice, the best one of all of them.
I'm an Empire Strikes Back
Empire Strikes Back
guy.
Okay.
But I will say that 2015 Rogue One, the Star Wars story, sort of the side story movie,
Yeah.
starring Diego Luna, dude. You can't say that's the best movie because it's like not in the 9, you know, Skywalker movies, but it's so good. It's a very close second for
Will
me.
you ask me one trivia question about Star Wars, as I'm not an expert, that I should know, and let's see if I can get one right? Because I've seen the movies,
Okay.
but I'm not an expert, and I like them. I like the movies. I like the characters, but I'm not a trivia buff.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy
That's
deep.
what I'm saying. I think I might need to stay a little bit. surface and
Yes.
you'll get it.
Yeah.
So, who is Princess Leia's father?
Darth Vader.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. See?
Okay. Anakin Skywalker.
Yes. Correct.
All right. Hell yeah. Okay, I feel good about that.
Who is her mother?
Her mother, Carol Brady?
No.
I don't know. Who's the mother?
Natalie Portman played Padme Amidala.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Sorry,
but that
everybody.
was their that's prequel stuff.
Okay.
So.
Can you explain, because I can't, if somebody is a fan of a band, big time fan, or a fan of a series, or like Star Wars, why they show hate so loud so everybody can see it when they really love the product?
Something we talk about on the podcast so much. And obviously something I have a lot of personal experience with, being in a band for 20 years. I think what it really boils down to is they're just the loudest voice in the room. And I think if you look at I mean, the band is almost even a better example, but Star Wars definitely suffers from this. It's just a fact, there are less negative comments and posts online than there are positive. And for that reason, they get amplified, they get sought out, because if you're just reading the same thing all the time, you know what I mean? Like it's like, I think that they just get amplified. That's what I think, because most people, and I say this because Star Wars, for example, I just got back from London. I went to Star Wars Celebration. It's a magical experience where you are surrounded by literally thousands of people who love Star Wars. Where is that? Where is that hate?
Right.
Where is this toxic fandom? They're behind their keyboard, you know?
I saw you tweet about something the other day, like salty keyboard.
Well, so the Galactic Star Cruiser, which was like the 2-night experience, immersive experience at Disney World, which I've done and was, don't tell my wife, but 3 of the best days of my entire life, if not the best 3 days of my life. Me and Adam and Nick and a bunch of our friends went. You know, we're 40-year-old
awesome,
dudes
man.
in
That's
dressed
cool.
up in full costume, like running around with all the little kids on the ship. We're fighting them with our lightsabers.
Right.
It's like we're 10 years old again. It's the best. So, anyways, they're closing it for many reasons. They were always struggling with the price point, how to make it sustainable and pay the cast, because it's not just your normal Disney cast members. They're performing nonstop. They get no breaks. They're on for 3 days straight. They're in character. It's a big production, and so the price point was high, and that was always a problem. But we've broken it down on the podcast 100 times. If you split it with people, the cabins sleep 5 people. If you split it with 4 other people, tell me you can go to Disney World for less than $1,200 for 3 days with hotel, food, park passes, and it's just, you just want to hate it. Just want to hate it.
Right.
Like, it's one of the most prime examples of people hating something they never even did. You know, they never even. And I saw, so when it closed, I noticed for the first time so many people saying, I could have afforded to go, but it's Disney and it's the sequel trilogy era and it sucks and I don't want to do it. And it's like, dude, that's just the climate we live in now. Like, people just want to be angry because they can say they're angry.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's just unfortunate. I just don't understand.
Oh, that makes sense, because sometimes I'll have a guest on the podcast and they get so much love and the views on YouTube are through the roof. But then, of course, within hundreds of comments, there's like 10 of the most mean comments about the new music they happen to be making. And they're not the same guy or girl at 25 years old. They're now 40-year-olds or maybe even like 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have a hard time, and I still can't wrap my head around it. They're not making music as 25-year-olds.
I know.
Their taste is different.
I know.
And their life and the way they see the world is 99.999% different.
I know, and it's been a long, and I think now successful learning process for me to tune that out.
Good,
because we've dealt with it a lot. And one thing that I also try to do now is I can't say, well, I think this way, so you should think this way, but I can say how I think, you know. And for me, one thing that I think Yellowcard has struggled with for so many years is the fact that we haven't always been the same lineup. And I know we're not the only band to suffer from this, but we have always maintained a policy of not airing that laundry in public. And we do that for a reason. Like, we don't want to harm the reputation of the people that are no longer working with us anymore. And the idea that we just, I think a lot of times it mostly falls on Sean and I, because we're sort of the original, the last remaining original members, that we are just these evil, vindictive, we're just going to wake up today and decide you don't get to be here anymore. Just no reason, just you're out. That's been such a common thing that, that's like assumed. And it just blows my mind that that people don't have the capacity to think, to stop, take a beat and think there must be something going on that has led to this decision, But I say all that just to say that as a fan of music myself, and again, not saying anyone else needs to think this way, I just get the record. I just get the records and listen to them. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, could I tell you who's been playing guitar or bass for the Pumpkins for the last 20 years? Nope. Maybe that's just not the kind of music fan I am, right? But at the end of the day, if the Smashing Pumpkins are still a band and they're putting out music, I listen to the music. If, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that goes for any band I've ever loved, and many of them have changed members a ton of times. And so, I'll never understand it. I'll never understand the sort of entitlement that your personal lives and the decisions that need to be made to maintain your mental health, your career, belong to the fans. We do, everything we do is for fans. We make music, we play shows. We are passionate about the people that support our band. We love them more than anything in the band. It's the most important thing. I wouldn't be sitting here if we didn't have people who like to listen to our music and support us. But the idea that, our personal lives, and again, you just said it, I think anyone who sat in this chair would echo this sentiment, belongs to someone other than me. It just always has blown my mind.
Without airing dirty laundry, and then we're getting out of here. Because everyone's older and is, I assume, more mature, have any relationships previous with guys that have been part of Yellowcard? Do you text? Do you talk? Do you say, hey, how are you? Or is it done?
Pete and I have gotten to be very close. And that means a lot to me because we grew up, we were high school friends. We were really close, and we went through a lot just together. Out of the 5 members of the band, he and I, we really went through a lot through that Ocean Avenue Lights and Sounds time. And when we had a not great ending to his time in the band. We had quite a falling out. So his relationship is really meaningful to me. And like the fact that, he's given me the opportunity to do the work and repair. And I've tried to do the same. And I think I'm really happy that we've been able to rekindle our friendship. And I live back home in Jacksonville now for the first time in 25 years. And so we spend a lot of time together, and it's just great. So
nice.
That's the one person that for me that I've been able to mend the fences, and it's awesome.
Good for you. I'm inspired by the work you've put in on yourself to continue to attempt to do it for me. Hope everyone enjoyed the episode. Have a great tour.
Thanks, man.
20 years from Ocean Avenue, a longer year than 20 years that you've had. Congrats on everything that you've accomplished.
Dude, this tour, just before we go really quick, we can't believe it, man. Just to everyone out there who has bought a ticket to these shows, I'm not misusing the word. These are literally the biggest shows we've ever played, and how that makes sense, I don't understand. We're playing. I mean, we've sold almost 8,000 tickets in Jacksonville, Florida. That's
wow.
I can't, bro. I can't get my head around it. We're playing these amphitheaters, and when they first said we'd like you to come do an amphitheater tour, we were all like, are you out of your mind? We haven't played a show in 7 years. Like, we broke up because we were having trouble selling tickets. Like, what are you talking about? And it is just, it's just blowing out of the water, man. We're so excited. And I think
good for you guys. That's super exciting. And you're playing the When We Were Young festival this year.
Yeah, dude. I'm off. I'm leaving tomorrow from the time we're recording this episode. I'm flying to Sweden to rehearse with our drummer who lives in Stockholm. For Slam Dunk Festival in the UK, which is next weekend.
Wow.
So that's this coming up weekend is our first real sort of here we go.
Congratulations, man. Will you save me a size large Yellowcard t-shirt, please?
Dude,
I
I'll save
really
you
would
one
love
of
a
each.
piece of merch
I'll
of
save
yours.
you one of each.
Okay. All right, Brian. Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
dude.
man. That was fun. Hour and 13 minutes. I
What,
can
is
keep
it too
going,
long?
man.
Is it too long?
What's
All right.
better, Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street?
I'm an Elm Street guy.
Elm Street.
And that's like the one that as a little kid, HBO, like
Yeah.
I would sneak where in the house, like my parents were upstairs, I'd sneak downstairs or vice versa to watch that movie and have the worst nightmares.
What's better?
Of my life.
Pulp Fiction or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction is
Oh
better.
God.
Okay.
That's a landmark milestone film if you're a 90s kid.
I have been rewatching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood like a maniac the last 2 months.
It's so good.
It's a 10 out of 10.
It is. I do not deny
Yeah.
it, but Pulp Fiction is just all time, dude.
Yeah, it is.
All time. At that time, the out of order storytelling,
Right.
it was just so like no one had ever done. I mean, it was,
No.
man, what a film.
That's the first movie in my life that I walked out of when I was leaving the theater wondering how they made that and trying to figure out what a director did in a movie. Because before I would just go to the movie, oh, that was fun, I move on with my life. Pulp Fiction, I was like, who did this? How did they do this movie? What the hell?
Dude, it's so good.
Okay, now we're done.
I know how good my coffee is, Jules. I'm the one that buys it.
Bonnie. Okay, that's Ryan Key. That's been our episode. Thank you guys so much for watching Tuna on Toast. Happy snuggles. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed. Now hit that subscribe button. And for more Tuna on Toast, listen wherever you get your podcasts.